here we go.
There we go.
Hi everyone. Hi there. This is the Butter Dish Gals again with Coach Cherish, Coach Emily, and of course Coach Jane and me, Coach Adek. And hold on, let me just turn this. There we go. And we're here because Coach Jane is doing priming together with the gang, and she's and just ended with with the second week of the priming, and we would like to see how she is and how she's feeling and how the week has been doing. So go ahead, Jane. How are you feeling?
Feel great. I mean, certainly got more energy. I will say that. It's been hard this week because I've had a really busy week at work. So because it's fitness that I do, eating before I go to work is often impossible. So I've had to get up earlier to be able to get food in to allow it to go down before I can actually go and do work.
Mm-hmm.
And then a couple of times I've had to kind of not eat during the day. So I've eaten something in the morning and then had to try and eat 2 meals in the evening.
Okay, because of your schedules, not because you were hungry or not hungry. Yeah. It was just because of schedules.
Just the actual practicalities of trying to eat has been really hard this week. It's just happened that I've just had a very busy week in and out and that with clients. So that's been particularly hard because I found days when I wanted to eat because I was hungry, and then I couldn't get at the food because it just wasn't practical to eat.
Right.
So I think if you have more of a normal work routine, it's possibly easier.
Definitely. Yeah. But life happens and everyone's life is different. And you were able to manage it most of the time, most of the days?
Most of the time, yeah. I mean, sometimes I've had a lot of the cold meat with butter and cheese.
Sure.
I did what you suggested and added extra eggs to my scrambled eggs in the morning, which has helped. I did struggle with the fourth egg. That was, a few times I was like, oh, I don't like a egg.
Yay! So it's not just Raymond now, it's me too. I'm so happy that you don't like me right now.
But no, I mean, I have felt better. I mean, like I say, I don't weigh how much protein. I don't really weigh how much fat, particularly. I have tried to keep the fat up. So I've found the only way I've been able to do it is actually to have the fatty lattes. So I've had 3 fatty lattes a day.
Mm-hmm.
Kept the fat up, probably about, guessing, probably 180 grams ish. And not eating so much fat with the food.
Right. Okay, so separately.
Then I could eat the protein more. I mean, I still add a bit of butter, but there have been a few meals where I've been looking at the plate and Stephen's gone, are you struggling? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, are you going to finish it? I said, I'm going to take another 2 mouthfuls.
Oh,
then I'm going to take another 2. And and I haven't always finished everything, but I've tried.
Good. So it does sound like you're fully primed, right, Emily? Yeah. You're doing well. Do you think so? Are you ready for 2 maths, or can you wait? Can't wait to start.
Oh, I can't wait to start.
Good.
I mean, yeah. I mean that will make life easier. I'm trying to fit 3 meals in has just been really, really difficult. But interestingly, I mean, my weight stays fairly stable no matter what I do, unless I eat a lot of carbs, which I haven't done in a long time. So.
We could have you've been looking at other numbers though. Would you like to share a little bit the other numbers and the improvements?
So my weight's kind of inched up slightly, but nothing very much. But I mean, my boobs have got bigger and pretty much stayed bigger, but that's the fat, I think. I have felt my jeans are slightly tighter around my hips, but not so tight I can't get in them, but just that bit more of a, I'm going to have to pull a bit more, which is fine, I don't have a problem with. So my figures, so I took them in August. This is my body comp, and my weight in August was 56.8 kilograms, and it's now up to 59.
That's amazing. That's 4 kilos.
Yeah, almost. My body fat, which is the one I wanted to get up, was 14% in August. It's now up to 22.4.
Wow, that is that's healthy. That's like for a healthy woman.
Which is what I want. I wanted to get it over the 20.
Yes. That's amazing.
Water, I'm not bothered about. Muscle mass, my muscle mass does tend to fluctuate. So it was 46.4, it's 43.5, but
Is
that
that when they measure it, is it lean muscle mass or is it compared to your body fat? Do you
it's
know?
compared to the body fat.
Okay, see,
So,
okay,
so it will lessen because the body fat's gone up. So
exactly. Right.
my physique rating stayed at 8. My bone mass, slight difference. It was 2.5. It's now 2.3.
Okay.
Metabolic age, I'm still 38.
I know, I saw that.
And my visceral fat's gone up. So my visceral fat was 2.5 and that's gone up to 4.
That's okay. I mean,
Which
it
is
needs to be
fine.
stored somewhere, and everyone has their own,
Yeah.
place of storage.
Yeah. And to be honest, when I first started doing this years ago, so 2017, I think was my first reading, my visceral fat was 4 then, and it occasionally dips between 2.5, 3, depending on the time of the year, to be honest.
Yep,
Because I
definitely.
tend to eat more fatty foods and
In the winter.
in the winter. So
Yeah,
yeah,
of course.
yeah. So and 4 is still very low for visceral
It is.
fat, very
Mhm.
low. So I'm more than happy with that. But yeah, it's been an interesting week. But yeah,
Mhm.
too mad. I'm definitely
Yeah, before we get there, would you like to share any like victories or anything, any improvements you've seen? Because we've already mentioned before the live, just saw how gorgeous your hair was.
It is. I think it is. I think I am losing less hair
Right.
because I was losing a lot of hair, and I think that has certainly slowed down. Uh, my skin is staying good because I mean it got very good with the fat, and so dropping the fat hasn't reduced that because that
Good.
was what I was worried about.
Mhm.
Uh, my moods have been pretty good still this week. So yeah, so the lowering the fat hasn't been a problem particularly, but I've not lowered it that much.
Okay.
Uh, I don't know. I think for me, it's just been the energy.
Oh goodness,
That
that's wonderful.
yeah, just
That
has been more stable. So I've been able to get up and keep going all day, uh,
right.
which has been really nice. So yeah,
That's good. Because we sometimes hear from members that they do actually get tired or lethargic during the priming, and for you, it's different for everyone. Because for you, you got that energy
yes,
this
yes. I
week.
mean, I
So
think
good.
it'll be interesting next week because our temperature has dropped rapidly,
Yeah.
really a lot over here. I mean, it was. So last week we were looking at night times of like 16, 18 degrees.
Mhm.
It was 6 last night.
Yeah, same here.
So and that's been quite a shock to the system.
It does, and you may need to adjust. I thought I
Yes.
found myself adjusting as well. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
The weather
So
and your situation always that's all, dependent on each other.
yes.
Definitely.
Yeah. So that's going to be interesting to see how my body reacts this week. I'm thinking I will probably crave more fat this next
Oh
week.
yeah.
So yeah. But
Yes, eat it.
well, yes, that's it. And I'm certainly not intending to. I don't want to. I mean, I've weighed some bits because I've been doing the priming, but I'm not intending to weigh anything because I am just going to go with how my body feels and
Good.
what I want. So, if next week with Too Mad, if I can't eat all the protein on my plate, I will just try and eat a bit more fat and
Good.
see if it's that way. Because I
Yes.
think yeah, I just think it makes my life easier. I can't be bothered. I mean, half the time I keep forgetting to take photos. So
Well, it's only been this week, so that's okay. I
no,
mean, and
you've had a couple of plates of half-eaten food. Right, whoops.
yeah, and like I said, we like empty plates, so that's
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Okay, so I'll just explain two mads real quickly, and feel free to add in Coach Emily and Coach Cherish. So it's week 3 of level 1, so it's officially still priming, and we're going down to 2 mads. That is 2 meals a day for the next whole week, for the next 7 days. And these meals need to be placed at least 4 hours apart, at least, or preferably 6 to 8 hours. But just look at your schedule if it's possible. Sometimes people need the 12-hour in between because it just fits better in their schedule,
Yeah.
right? But try to play around with that to see which one suits for you. And these two meals can be different every day. You can experiment with breakfast and lunch, breakfast and dinner. lunch and dinner, and see what fits with your schedule and how it feels for you as well. And anything else? You might get some hunger maybe because you're missing out on that third meal, and that's okay. So you have to see if that is really suggestive hunger or not. And Coach Emily, would you like to explain what suggestive hunger is?
Yeah, so Stephen actually did a great explanation of it recently in group, where it's just according to the clock. So the clock says it's time for you to eat, and then you're like, oh, I need to eat. But it's more mental. So physiological hunger, you're going to feel it in your body more. And so if for some reason your hunger has really ramped up, then you prioritize that over the schedule. But it's okay and it's safe to just not every food thought that comes across the mind, you don't have to answer that. You can just let that go. If it's on anywhere from a 1 to a 5 level, you can just continue about your day and just not a big deal. Just keep trucking.
Yeah, and it will likely go away, right? Or
just, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes, I had tummy crumbles right before this live, and now they're gone.
And now they're gone. Yeah.
So it's just sometimes it's like we're so used to being told, oh, when your stomach's growling, that means you're hungry, but not necessarily. There are other cues, so you could always just wait a little bit and see what happens, right?
Yeah. So am I allowed to have a fatty latte through the day that's not at meal times?
Oh, that's a good question.
What do you think,
Coach Deck?
No, I'd say it's still as a dessert only. So after your meal. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Preferably after the meal. But you can make it as big a fatty latte as you like. Mine's 20 ounces, after my meal, I'd go all in and have a big one.
Yeah.
So
it's just for this week, just to see if you can make the 2 mads, and we're still trying to find your hunger signals, or just trying to find out where they exactly are, so that the fatty latte in between meals, especially you have like a 12-hour difference some days, that would just maybe mix it up a bit and would more likely to make you feel your body that you have 3 meals instead of 2. So we're going to see if the build up and but if you are hungry, it's okay to have that third meal. Sometimes your hormones are playing up or something else, and if you don't ignore that either. So if it's like maybe that suggested hour turns into a real hunger after an hour, you're still feeling hungry and still thinking of food after that hour, just have that third meal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
If we could go back to how you did your calculations, Melanie is asking suggestions on where to get the body testings done. And I believe you use a scale, right?
Yeah, I've got a scale that we've got at home, which is, I think is it Stephen? Sorry, is it Tahiti? Tanita. Tanita is the name of the scale. But I think there are places, certainly in the UK, some gyms have them in. You basically need something where you have something in your hand as well as standing on the scale,
right?
Because then it sends a signal through the body and just does a calculation. I mean, they're not super accurate, but if you use the same one all the time,
exactly, you can follow the improvements, the progress. Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts, Jane, on how it gives you the visceral fat from when you're hanging on to something? I'm just curious how it tells you visceral.
It sends a signal through the body. So if you look at as it comes through, it checks it gets the readings from different segments. So I think when it does the torso, it's obviously doing it through the organs.
Wow, cool.
So it's an interesting. Like I said, I don't do it very often, but it is an interesting thing to sort of see where it is. But yeah.
Very neat.
Okay.
Should we do some questions?
Certainly, yes.
All right. Let's go with April Joe's question. I'm always cold, but adding fat, I heat up. How does that work? So she's asking, how does it work when by adding fat, does it make her warmer? Does anybody want to tackle that?
That's interesting, because actually eating protein makes me hotter.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, because the body normally works harder to process the protein.
Mm-hmm.
So that's interesting.
Well, to me, this indicates that she's still getting sufficient protein. And
Yeah.
this is very important when we're talking about eating high fat or, anything that you want. We're not saying don't eat the protein and don't eat a good amount of protein. So that is typically what that happens. But I think it's a sign of the body healing and adapting. And you have to think about when you get cold, sometimes that's because your body's busy going to digestion and it's taking energy away from, your peripherals because it's working on some other things. So I don't know. To me, it just sounds like it's a good balance for her, though.
Yep, absolutely. I agree.
Okay, thank you, Emily.
And we appreciate the thumbs up, everybody. If you would definitely hit
that'd
that
be
thumbs
nice.
up button. Thank you. Next question is from J.A. On to Med, should we feel hungry before we eat our second meal? Coach Adek, would you like to answer that?
I think it's during this week, it is all about just experimenting. So you don't have to wait until you're really feeling hungry. You can even, if you have already set times, I would go ahead and have those set time, eat on those set times. But if you really do start feeling hungry, then I would go and eat, like I said before. But don't wait until you're really, really hungry. I should say. Is that a good answer, Emily?
I like it. So it's not, Raymond will often refer to the 2 MADs as another level of priming. And so this question of should we feel hungry before we eat our second meal? No, you don't need to wait for that. For a lot of people, this is still another super nourishing kind of a phase. So it's almost like an extra week of getting a lot of extra nourishment in, and it's okay if you don't feel hungry this week.
And I would actually, because you said it is part of the priming, I would still aim for eating completely full with a few more bites, right?
Agreed.
So it's, instead of later on, we'll tell you that comfortably full would be okay, but this is still priming. So completely full plus a few bites, if you can. Coach
Yeah, those last few bites are so hard.
Yeah, they are. Okay, so Vicky asks, 20 ounces of what? Meaning you up the butter. Actually, the recipe is the same, Vicky. What I usually do is if I'm feeling like I need more fat, I'll add an extra egg yolk. And then the water is about 16 ounces. By the time I'm done frothing it all up, it pumps up to 20 ounces. So that's what I mean. The recipe is still the same. I hope that helps.
Next
How much butter do you use in yours, Cherish?
I use 2 heaping tablespoons. I don't measure it exact. I just kind of go for it with a big tablespoon.
Love it.
What about you, Jane? How much butter are you putting in there these days?
So I'm reckoning probably 3 to 4 tablespoons.
Nice.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said 80 grams if you measure, but I know you don't do that anymore, so that's good. But yeah, that's about 4 tablespoons.
Yeah. And I am going to start adding the egg yolks back in, I think.
Okay.
Because I haven't been having the egg yolks in, partly through laziness, because the trouble is sometimes I have like 10 minutes in between a client, and the butter and the water I can whiz up really quickly.
Right.
The egg yolk is more faffy. So which sounds terrible, but sometimes life's just like that, isn't it? So
yeah, exactly. So we have a question about sipping on the latte for 4 hours, and I think Coach Jane had brought that up about in between. Try not to do that. Basically, especially if you use egg yolks, because you really are breaking your fasting time. Yeah. You're getting into, kind of fueling all day, for lack of a better term. We don't want to fuel all day.
Grazing.
Yeah, we want to make sure that you're mindfully eating. And if you feel like you got to sip on a fatty latte all day long, then maybe, just maybe, there's something missing in your meals that you may want to increase your fats or up your protein, so that you want to sip on a fatty latte like a dessert, sip it and be done with it, and then move on.
Yeah, and maybe just have hot water then to sip.
There you go. I do that.
4 hours. Mm-hmm.
Doing it right now. This is hot water.
I find I have to drink a fatty latte warm. or hot. As soon as it starts to go cold, it's not as nice.
All right.
I find it harder once it gets cold. I think because it's butter and it starts as the texture changes as it starts to cool.
It gets sludgy and it turns into like a mushy.
Does it really? Even the texture changes? I
Yeah.
thought maybe just the flavor. Okay.
No, the texture changes and I can't cope with that. So it needs to be still quite warm.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
While priming, how many pounds should we expect to gain? This is always a loaded question.
Yes, it is.
I will go ahead and Coach Jane, why don't you go ahead?
I mean, it varies. I mean, the thing is, I wanted to put fat on anyway. I wanted to increase my body fat, which is one of the reasons I'm doing the priming. And I've probably I've gone up and down all week. So I think I'm a little bit heavy. So what was I? Let me have a look. So my weight in 2 weeks, my weight went up from 56.8 to 59 kilograms.
Yeah.
Um,
That's 4 kilos, and that is about 10 pounds. How many? Sorry about that. Let me just check.
yeah,
4
I'm sure it's in that.
It's 8.8 pounds.
Yeah, but some days I went up, some days I went down. So I think it varies, and I think everybody varies depending on what else they do. Depends on the weather, depends on how much activity.
Very true. Stress and your where you come from, your history of eating, and your health issues as well. So it's different.
Yeah.
So we even have people who lose during priming. So it's really, we really can't give you a point of exact weight that people gain.
I think sometimes if it's somebody that's dieted a lot in the past, I think the body does this food
and then holds on to it.
Hold it, yes. Now I've never dieted. I've never done that. I just didn't overeat ever. But I've never done the yo-yo dieting.
Right.
So I think my metabolism is pretty stable, apart from the hormones with the menopause. But it's I mean, and the only other thing that I have been taking are my my drops. Bear with me. I will show you what they are. Give me 1 second.
Ooh, I like her backdrop. It's so beautiful. Is it there lights inside of it?
Yeah, the autumn is starting. Beautiful.
So pretty.
There's some folks sharing
7 pounds,
how much
6
they've
pounds.
gained.
Well, that's necessary weight for health. It's all health gain. That's what we call it.
Oh, the trace mag drops. Okay.
Okay. So magnesium.
So it's got magnesium in, and it's got, hang on, let me tell you what else it's got in. And they're not the pleasantest tasting things.
Right.
But it's got, let's have a look. Oh, why did they put the writing on this so small?
Yeah, no kidding.
So we've got magnesium, chloride, sulfate, and boron.
Does it say what form of magnesium? Magnesium chloride?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And may I ask why are you taking it, Coach Jane?
Just basically just to support the menopause for me.
Okay.
And also I've been taking some drops of iodine as well.
Great.
Nice.
The Lugals.
Yeah. Just I find that very difficult to judge how much iodine to take, though. It's very difficult to measure it out.
I think just they'd start off with 1 or 2 drops, but maybe you can just cut out for 2 weeks and see how that feels, and then add it back in to see if you really do need it or not. You can tell the difference. Yeah.
We'd like an update on that for sure.
Yeah, we would. Yeah,
that'd be great.
Yeah.
Okay. Hold on. Wrong one. Sorry. This is a question.
Yeah.
So let's talk poop. How's that poop going?
Thank you.
We always love talking about poop.
Well, it's part of life, isn't it?
It is.
The butter's never been an issue. I have found a couple of days. The first week I didn't notice any change at all, even though I was eating all that food. I wasn't going to the toilet anymore. The second week, more toilet visits and a couple of times more constipated.
Okay.
Even though the butter was still high. And I just think maybe, I don't know if it was just that my digestive system wasn't used to that amount of food.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just taken a little while to catch up. But
Okay.
It's getting back on track now.
Oh, good. But it wasn't uncomfortable. It's like a...
No, and I'm quite good with movement. So with doing the classes and things, I can usually exercise myself around that rather than it's. But movement will loosen the digestion up. So
Yes, yeah. I've learned that from you this week during the Pilates class. Do you have any questions? Because we do have a few minutes. If you have any more questions for Coach Jane, type them in now. But Coach Jane, do you have any questions about 2 mats?
No, I'm looking forward to it. I think it will be easier for me to do 2 meals than 3, just for the practicalities, to be honest.
Yes.
And I think it's actually, thinking about it, I think it will, now I've done the 3 meals, my appetite has increased. So doing 2 meals I'll be able to eat more at those 2 meals.
Right. Yeah.
Is what I'm hoping. That's how I feel at the moment, because I am, with the deck saying add that extra egg. Can you add 1 more? Can you add 2 more pieces to your meat? And it's like, but now I've done that. Actually, I am finding I'm finishing it easier. So 2 meals should,
Well
so
done.
it should be
Well
easier.
done.
Any change in mental clarity or sleep? Yeah, I think mental clarity's got a bit better. But the same with everything. Because it's menopause as well. That does tend to cycle through the month. So mental clarity will get better, and then with the hormones, it kind of takes a dip. And sleep, I've never had a problem with sleep. I do a lot of working out, so when my head hits the pillow, I am out.
Wow, good.
Yeah.
And do you take anything for nights with sweats?
Sweats.
Don't.
Yeah.
Originally, I used to take B12, and I've tried all sorts. But to be honest, just being really strict carnivore and increasing the fat has pretty much taken them out for me. Even while it was really warm here in the UK for those 2 or 3 weeks, I was actually I was waking up feeling warm, but I wasn't soaked.
Right.
So I just think, So I think just being strict carnivore will help, and it's just regulating your cortisol. It is just putting in that self-care and just trying to not stress your body too much. And when you are feeling stressed, try and take a bit of time out to do stuff for yourself, even if it's only go for a walk, grounding, sit and listen to music, ring a friend, whatever it is. It is just trying to. I think for women, particularly when they're menopausal, which kind of hits us at the time when we have elderly parents and teenage kids, is a bit of a double whammy, really. So taking time out for ourselves is often quite difficult. And I think that's when we actually have to say, do you know what? I need this 20 minutes. Because otherwise you don't survive the rest.
True.
And then so I think and that I think helps with the night sweats and all that. It is just listening to your body, which I think we forget because we put everybody else first.
And I'm glad you mentioned all those things as well, because it's not always the food that we need to focus on.
No.
Right, exactly. So we also have a question about how to measure your body age.
That was on the scales again. It tells you on that, and that just it just looks at, you put in whether you're very active, you put in your height, your age, then it measures your weight and does all that, but then it also tells you your metabolic age. So I'm 54 in a couple of weeks' time, and my body age came up at 38.
Nice.
So,
Even with all the food.
Even with all the food. But I think my body needed it. It really did. And the thing was, I wasn't restricting myself before for restrictive sake. I just didn't feel hungry. So I was doing what I tell everybody to do, which is listen to your body. But I kind of trained my body, or my lifestyle. No, I rephrase that. My lifestyle had trained my body not to need food all the time because I was busy and I was out.
Yeah, we could consider that like a bit of a survival mode as well. It not doesn't mean that you're restricting food, but it's just that, yeah, it depends on your lifestyle as well, and that's okay.
Yeah.
It's a good observation. Thank you.
So I'm curious because we are running short on time. Now that you've been through this process, Coach Jane, what tips or advice do you have for those that are interested in priming? Is this a good way to start the carnivore diet?
Yes. Yes. I mean, for me, I've been carnivore for quite a while, or ketovore and then carnivore. So I found it easier just having a plate of meat in front of me because I've been kind of used to that. How I would have coped at the very beginning, having a huge plate of meat in front of me, I think, I'm not sure my body would have rebelled, but I think my mind would have rebelled with, I don't want to do this. But I was at a point where I was ready to do it. And I think you do have to be mentally there because it is hard mentally to do it. But for me, having the support of the coaches has been absolutely invaluable. I think if you're priming, if you can have a coach, it just makes it so much easier. Or a priming buddy, you know, you've got a few of you to do
accountability.
Yeah. And also, every time I put a meal down, even if I didn't want it, I sat it down and was like, right, okay, I need to eat this and I'm going to enjoy it. And I went at it with gusto, if you know what I mean.
That's right.
Because if I'd have gone at it and like, oh, I don't really want this, I would never have finished it. So it was almost like telling my mind that I was hungry and I needed it, even though I didn't feel hungry.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
you did well. You did well, Coach Jane.
Just to push past that, and it was also lots of different meals.
Yeah, the variety was in there, especially the last one was good.
Yeah. So adding
so much butter. You're the most butterish priming student that we've ever had. We've never seen a primer use as much butter as you have. It's beautiful.
But I found the butter helped me actually get the meat down when I was struggling. I was adding extra butter because actually it was making it easier to eat it.
I think it's possible that you didn't suffer a lot of fatigue during your priming. I'm very curious at how that played in as well. I think because you were so butter focused that the fatigue aspect came down. So
I'm wondering that actually because I like I say, the first week I had one day where I dropped the butter and then struggled the following day. But apart from that, all the other days I've really tried to keep the butter up. Just because I felt like my body needed it. And it's been good fun. It's been hard, but I'm really glad I did it. And I can't wait to see where 2 Mad goes.
We can't either. So is Coach Stephen going to do 2 Mads with you?
I think Stephen might do 2 Mads with me next week. Yep.
All right. Might have to have him on too.
It is much easier actually doing it with somebody.
Yeah.
Like I said last week, the meals that I ate on my own were much harder.
Oh yeah.
You know, I mean, it was much easier having the food there and sitting with somebody to do it. And just having that support really. And also knowing that I was sending a picture to somebody.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Because that also made me think when I was dishing up, because it was like, okay, I dish up and I think, okay, I put so much on my plate. I'm going to take a picture of that. It doesn't look very much. I better put a bit more on.
Oh wow. Okay.
because it's that accountability. It is that accountability. And I think and that made me push that knowing you were seeing it pushed me to eat more. Because I knew otherwise you'd go, that's not really enough.
Right.
And and it was interesting. But I think for me it is the different amounts of food, the different styles of food. So I'd have a plate with like 4 different things on. Add cheese, add bacon, pancetta. You know, I had some strange mixes, but it didn't matter because it was
all carnivore, so that was all good.
Carnivore. Yeah. I had lamb chops with 2 eggs the other day.
Lovely.
which is an odd mix, but actually it weirdly worked because I think the textures. So the meat was dry-ish, but the eggs have a kind of
moisture in there.
Moisture in it, which helped. Yeah, yeah. So
Amazing.
It's amazing.
All right. Well, I think we have to wrap this live up because we have to go do our coaching duties in the Steak and Butter Gang. So if those that are watching aren't familiar with the Steak and Butter Gang, please feel free to check out any links to the Steak and Butter Gang, and we'll see you there, and we'll see everybody at the next meeting. And maybe next time we do a live and see how the two mads go with Coach Stephen. Maybe not. We'll see. Well, thanks everybody for joining this live today. Please, if you learned something today, share this live stream with a friend. Hit the notification buttons, hit the thumbs up, please. And don't forget to subscribe to the Butter Dish, as well as all the Steak and Butter Gang coaches channels.
Yes.
Love you all. Have a fantastic day. Thank you.
Thanks everyone.
Bye.
Great job.
Bye.